Very good morning to everyone. I, Rinki Kithani, Secretary of Pune Vikasa, would like to take this opportunity to welcome everyone on this virtual program on emerging opportunities for chartered accountants, organized by Pune branch of Vikasa of ICAI, jointly with Ahmednagar, Akola, Amravati, Anand, Aurangabad, Nanded, Navi Mumbai, Satara, Solapur, and Rajkot branch of Vikasa of ICAI. I also acknowledge the presence of all the chairpersons of various branches present here, as well as managing committee members. Today's topic being emerging opportunities for chartered accountants. I would like to request CA Mushmi Shah, chairperson of Pune Vikasa, to give introduction of CA Vinit Deo as speaker for the day.
Madam, you are on mute.
A very good morning to all. It's indeed a pleasure for us to have with us CA Vinit Deo sir. The moment we thought of this topic, emerging opportunities for CAs, the very first name that clicked us was Vinit Deo sir, because there couldn't be a faculty better than him for this subject. Let me quickly introduce you to CA Vinit Deo sir. He is a chairman and managing director of Posivi Group and brings with him a robust experience of 2 decades in the field of finance and advisory. Vinit sir leads the Positive consulting team in being growth partners for the emerging Indian companies. He has led over the closure of over 100 funding and 200 advisory transactions from a few hundred crores. He has corporate experience with Times of India and Geometric Software Solutions. He has led Posiview to become a preferred advisory partner to real estate developers. He is a regular contributor of articles to media such as Times of India, Money Control, Sakal, etc. And he addresses sessions on topics of fundraising, RERA, business opportunities, and so on. He was selected as Professional Icon of Pune by Lokmat in 2016. He's active in profession and was a managing committee member and vice chairman of Pune chapter of ICI, as well as convener of the WRC COVID-19 Economic Response Task Force. He actively works with industry associations to submit representation to the government on policy ideas. He's on the investment committee of the Center for Innovation, Incubation and Enterprise of Savitribai Phule Pune University. With this short introduction, I would like to welcome Vinit Deo sir, and over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Moshmi, for this kind introduction. Thank you so much to you and to Pune branch of ICI, as well as all of these branches who've come together to host this event for the benefit of students. To my knowledge, perhaps this kind of a knowledge sharing is happening for the first time outside the student conferences. So we see, 500,000 students assembling together at a conference, but I'm not sure it's a great start if that is so. But I think we can always think of doing more and more of these in time to come. And this is especially important because the world is changing so fast and there are so many uncertainties that although we can't do anything about what's going on in the external environment, what we can do is we can be better prepared for it. And I think that is what today's, hour or the rest of 50 minutes are going to be about. One, to understand what's going on in the world. Not that you guys would be unaware. Of course, you read media, there's newspapers, there's of course the WhatsApp university out there. But there's of course the traditional media, genuine sources, news. So in fact, your generation is bombarded with news. So you are aware of generally what's happening, but we are trying to make sense, make pattern of what is relevant to you, what is important to you as far as your career is concerned. And in fact, your career is not starting tomorrow. It is going to be start maybe 6 months, 1 year, or a few years down the line. So we look at even that context. That is agenda 1 of today. So let's get the agenda rolling. I'll meanwhile just share my screen for a small presentation I have. I'll keep it at the backdrop. Let me see. Where is it? So share screen. Stop. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Great. Okay. So, okay. So presentation will be mainly at the backdrop. My feel, if you, those of you who are on LinkedIn, feel free to send me a LinkedIn request. Happy to connect there and answer questions. And my contact details are there. Okay. So agenda one we discussed is, even before you understand what you need to do, which is opportunities, or what you can do, generally understand the environment which is out there. And secondly is, in the context of the environment, what are the opportunities. Now, what I've done is, this is not a laundry list of opportunities, like it can keep going on. But today, the second agenda is to make you think, make you aware as to, these are the things that you could do. Now, after the session is done, think about them, work on them, try looking out for more opportunities like them, and so on and so forth. So today is not the end point. Today, we want to ignite that fire so that continuously you are thinking, you are discussing amongst yourself, and so on. And I especially thank Moshmi for setting this up. Very, I think she just maybe less than a month or just about a month old in this role as a Vikasa head, as a managing committee member. But I think if this is the start, I think we've got lots more to do in the year ahead, and I think we'll all together be on a wonderful journey of opportunities for all of us. Okay, so. Quickly on the environment, right? And okay, another thing I've said is, if you want to ask any questions, raise your hands, and maybe Rinki can just do a bit of moderation, so we'll get a feel of an offline session. I think that Rinki, what you can do is you can read out the questions from the chat box. It can be related to the slide which is there, or even something general. I'll quickly take it up and go back to my part. I will not get disturbed, but I think we can have it as an interactive thing as well.
Yeah? Sure, sir.
Yeah.
So you want me to read the questions in end or in between as
well?
No,
as it goes on, if you get 2-3 questions, for example, even a couple of questions, maybe you can raise your hand. I will get the signal, and it can be that virtual hand, or you can keep your video on and just raise your hand, so I'll know that you have something to say. Okay. We'll follow that protocol. Yeah. So it will be interactive, and maybe we can also get some live ideas, and we can modify things along with it. Great. So we got about 40 minutes to go. We are at 8:20. Great. So quickly, the environment. Okay. Now, obviously, we work. The environment, number one, is global. Second is national. Third is regional and local. Okay. We basically, there's no point talking about in this short period what's happening in the Northeast or what's happening in North India. We'll also talk to that extent. We are in western part of the country. We got some people from Rajkot, so it's like Gujarat and Maharashtra mainly. So that's one, of course, within India and within Asia. So you all need to understand the context where you are at. So number one, at a global level, we are generally living, I mean, one, of course, in the immediate global level, there's this Ukraine thing which might spill over into a war. So there's tremendous uncertainty. And when there's uncertainty, in short, you need to understand that especially the multinational companies are cautious about taking up new investments, setting up new units, etc. So imagine a US company wanting to set up something in India. Now there is a degree of uncertainty of how the war will pan out, whether people will be able to travel, and so on and so forth. But here, I think there's something very, very important you need to understand. If there's, for example, in the immediate context, war, we've so far stayed neutral, and which is a great stand that India has taken. So even if there is a global uncertainty as to what would happen, Europe might have an issue. Companies out there may have an issue. But because we've stayed neutral, we've said we will not enter. And in fact, we are trading with Russia. We are buying oil from, so we've stayed friendly on both sides, in short. So we don't see any major impact happening within, for India as such. If at all, we might benefit by some of the, companies relocating here, or preferring India because we are a neutral country, and we've showed credentials that we don't want to get into war zones. That's one. On the economic bit, world economy is doing fairly well. It's not in or not expected to be in any major recession, which it was like in 2008 and so on and so forth. So broadly, an okay, not doing exceptionally well, but yeah, broadly okay. Indian context, we emerged stronger post-COVID, looking at 8% growth. So maybe that 1 year of bad year was there in the backdrop, but now you see companies investing, setting up new units, economies broadly picking up. So despite 2 extremely bad years in a country of 130 crore people, where there could have been mass deaths in terms of, if you see, there were not significant, fatalities due to, food shortage and so on. People broadly got food, they got necessities despite staying at home and so on. And although there were layoffs, etc., we are broadly back on track. So that's the Indian context. Growing, expected to grow. Stock market is a different context, but doing extremely well. But most industries, especially consumer, auto, if you try it, my bike is available, but cars, many of them have a 3 or 6 month waiting if you plan to go. New mobiles are getting launched, new consumer goods are getting launched, etc., etc. So that's where we are in terms of Indian context. Doing well, no major hiccup expected in the next 3 to 5 years. Regional context, we are all blessed that we are in the most prosperous part of the country. So West and South are prosperous in multiple ways. So one is, of course, the climate, rainfall, rivers. So if you Central India, North India are extreme climates as well. So when you've got moderate climates, you need to understand companies prefer coming here. That's the reason that, say, Bangalore and Pune are, hubs for everything like IT, manufacturing, and so on. Well, MNCs, it's not just about cheap space, etc. It is about their people getting a good climate to stay, their senior management, mid management, a stable environment, good quality of life, and all of that. So they get in some of these cities like Bangalore, Pune, Hyderabad, and so on. So especially Western India, advantages. Traditionally, for example, Pune, where we are, is known as the Oxford of the East. So very high degree of education, diverse set of industries. So Pune, IT is a new stuff, but we were anyway education hub. We were a manufacturing hub. So we've got Telco and Bajaj for the last, so many decades. Then we are also very strong general manufacturing hub. We got company like Sudarshan Chemicals, which are in chemical. We've got Poonawala's warriors. So there's pharma, there's chemicals, there's education, there's new age IT. There are unicorn companies like Icertis, Dhruva, and so on. So we've got everything. We've got services, all A-grade hotels. Now, why is this important? Then you've got a service industry like events. So you people who are joining from, say, Akola or Satara or other cities, you would see that many of them, your family members prefer coming here for things like marriages and so on happening in a Grand Hyatt or a Marriott here. So that's a services economy. Many of your friends or family study here. So that's a services economy because they buy or rent flats here. They buy clothes here. So the Pune economy then thrives because of inward migration. So that's where especially a local economy is there. Similarly, I just give illustration of Pune, but obviously you've got people from 10, 12 cities out here or more. Now you need to also look at your local economy. Is there an opportunity here, there? If yes, what? So, for example, Akola, I guess, is a strong trading hub. Rajkot is there also significantly in trading. So identify the local economy, identify what drives it. Are there leaders there, and so on and so forth. So that is global, national, and regional, as well as local context for you as to where we are. In a nutshell, as a country, I think we seem irreplaceable. We'll get foreign investment and we'll get local investment, as well as new age investment, and which is going to be something I will speak about. Because new age investment into all of these, when you see somebody is becoming a unicorn, like $1 billion valuation, hundreds of millions of dollars come into companies, what will they do with that money? They will hire people, right? Most of these are knowledge economy companies. They are not going to buy raw material and stocks and so on. An Ola or Oyo, or an open bank and so on, or a Cred, Zomato, they are going to principally either for their as key resources or for technology, and we are going to tackle technology in a major way. So this is where you are in terms of the context. Okay, now coming to you guys. Okay, so this is what I love to say, in a slightly with a bit of attitude, that apart from being a CA, and this is not a lot of meaning for us. See, you need to understand yourself, and my next slide is going to be understand yourself before you think of a career, because it's not a one size fits all. So Moshmi might have got one strength and should have taken one path. Vinit Deo a second path, Ketan Bhai a third path, and that comes from who you are. But principally, one of the things you need to understand and keep in mind is that being a chartered accountant itself can be a very, very, in itself be a talent, is what I mean to say. Technically, we learn so many subjects in depth. So I don't want to play any profession down. MBA has its strengths, a company secretary has its strengths, and so on and so forth. But if you even compare the syllabuses, and if you've cleared your CA, you've got a bit of everything. And if you decide to study beyond the syllabus, if you get time or, and so on, even maybe after you clear, then you realize the strength of the course and the strength of the degree. So number one, you are studying everything from contract law, which a lawyer studies, right at the early stage. You are not just studying the Income Tax Act, but you are studying multiple acts. So be it FEMA, be it indirect tax laws, and so on. So from a commercial standpoint, you are studying multiple laws. More importantly, we are studying laws in depth. So a lot of people do a LLB or CS post the CA or parallel to a CA. They will find that it is very easy to do that course because you know how to read law. So more than the actual law itself, how do you look at a case law? How do you read between the lines? Interpretation of statutes. So interpretation of statutes, what you are going to learn is the same thing that a lawyer is going to learn. But an MBA may not learn interpretation of statutes. He may learn income tax as a part of subject. Okay, of course, depends on the institute and the professor and so on. But by and large, you are like 3/4 of a lawyer. And that's the reason these days many CAs are also with dual degree are doing litigation practice, maybe giving up the CA degree and actually practicing law and so on and so on. So I was just taking law as an example. You also studied financial management, decision making, something that a CFA studies. Now, see, there's something that you're going to be taught in class, and because we don't have a college, it's now up to you as a self-learning. So if you get 15 minutes extra, half an hour extra, and if you want to do a career in finance and analysis in stock markets and so on, it's no point saying that you only learned so much. There's always, you can always go beyond the syllabus, go in depth in the syllabus, reach out to your professor, look at 5 minutes more and so on. So I used to love, for example, economics. So which is an understated topic, but I used to reach out, post class, spend 10 minutes with him. Professors will also open. You can always, in breaks, have a cup of tea with the professor and so on, and learn a lot of things. There at that time, of course, there was no WhatsApp and so on, but you learn financial management, taxation, and so many topics. You are equipped to take up you learn operations management and IT as well, basic principles. So keep in mind that you know many things. Unfortunately, because of the stress of exams, we are unable to study beyond the point, but you have the knowledge. So things don't end exams. Once your exams end, if you want to pick up your books and look at things that you like, that's actually the starting point of preparing for your career, I would say, not the end point. Pick up 1 or 2 topics and build on them. And then the last bit here on the education bit, because it's very closely linked to a career, is parallelly, if you can subscribe to blogs. For example, if you're interested in venture capital, like we practice it. So there's a blog called VC Circle, which is a free blog. Lots of the knowledge these days is free knowledge. Or there's Economic Times or LifeMint. You don't have to spend hours on it. Even if you read 1 or 2 news a day, instead of reading the generic paper, you need something in 2 or 3 months, you will be head and shoulders above other people in your class. Take my word for it. Try this for 3 months and see where it goes. Okay, now the second part is, of course, as I said, we've seen the global context, we've seen part of your education. 3 parts I'm going to divide this talk in. We are at 8:30, so about half an hour. Your aspirations, opportunities, and new areas or emerging areas. Okay, so quick look. As I said, understand yourself. Before you even jump, a lot of people make this mistake that they look at insurance में opportunity है और stocks में है, so मैं ये करता हूँ. या मेरा batchmate कर रहा है, मेरा roommate कर रहा है, and so on. So peacefully look inside you. All of you are different personalities, right? Somebody might be an extrovert. किसी को बोलना बहुत पसंद है, किसी को सोचना बहुत पसंद है, किसी को लीडर बनना पसंद है, किसी को फॉलोअर बनना पसंद है. Each is different और हर एक को रोल है, right? But understand yourself well, and then choose career path accordingly. So broadly, हमारे profession में there can be 4 roles, right? So you might like thinking, you may not like actually doing. So you can have a research or advisory role, okay? So you can be a stock market analyst. You like your laptop, your study, and so on and so forth. Or advisory also needs a bit of interaction, but you can always be somebody who's, for example, setting up systems and so on and so forth. So you and that task, not much interaction with people. So if you're like that, and there could be many such kind. So these are roles basically; they are not jobs. So you can think of more such opportunities for yourself. Secondly, if you like to be in a supporting role, not a leader, a follower, a helper, as I've called it, right? So then things like consulting could be used. So you're not actually working in a company, but you are supporting a task that the company is doing. So you have opportunities like KPO or a BPO operations where you are supporting the main role. You know, we'll get into more of this later. Then if you're a doer, कि आप में से कोई होंगे कि जो event organize करता है. For example, Rinki is here now. Why is she the secretary? Why is she just not studying? उसको क्या studies कम है क्या नहीं? उसको for example initiative है कि मुझे beyond studies कुछ करना है. So she might be the doer category as illustration. Rinki, hope you don't mind giving me give your example.
No,
But
no, sir, no.
क्यों आप यहाँ पे हो? तो आपको you are not happy, right? Just with studies. Studies में आप अच्छा करोगी, लेकिन और कुछ करना है ये आपके, you don't feel it is good enough just to study, right? So that is a doer, somebody who takes the initiative, right? So for them, the actual operations, and it could be anything, and that's the reason although it's a finance president, I've said marketing, and I will talk about it later. So actual business operations, I'm not saying finance operations. You could be part of a team which is, managing a project. So for example, you could be heading a bank ka branch. Now that bank branch operations, उसमें CA का role कम है, but you are chartered accountant. You are also handling business development. You are also handling new account opening, regulatory stuff, everything. So companies में भी ऐसा हो सकता है, where you are handling a division, and so on. Now core accounting finance, there's no point to even get into. You can start from being an accountant, go to account head. You can start from being a finance executive, go up to be a CFO. So these are where actual where you are interacting with so many departments and playing a role. So वो तो है ही. But एक तो ये हो सकता है. Second, for example, आपको, as I said, you got a lot of knowledge. So if you got knowledge of marketing, you can, for example, be in the business development of a NBFC, which is giving loans. क्योंकि आपको दोनों मालूम है. आपको मालूम है कि what are the type of clients, what is credit, what is CIBIL, how do you credit assessment. ये आपको quickly use ratios, ratio analysis, net worth, ये भी मालूम है. So a company, and a lot of our colleagues have worked there in this space, which is technically not marketing. You're not going door to door, obviously, in marketing. But which is there are executives, you are heading the business development function, where your role is to grow the business of the company. So especially in finance related functions, or there can be a company which has financial services software. So they need somebody more than now. There you are not selling a retail product like a mobile phone or even a laptop. You actually need to know finance very well to be able to explain the product. It's more of a development role than a sales role. So there will be a lot of what is called as pre-sales marketing. So those of you who would love to talk, who like to present, who like to be creative, उनके लिए बहुत अच्छा role हो सकता है. इस type का role. Then there could be somebody like an observer, which is you don't want to play a supporting role. You don't want to play the actual role, but you like to be there as a part of the team to see what's happening, to then comment on it, etc. So I have given two very opposite roles. We've got one of our past MCN regional members, Arun Giri, who's around our batch. He was one of the key people. I think the first person I know who was there in the media space as a full-time job. So there can be somebody like that, and you can be very, very successful because if you come with a technical background and you understand अगर merger हो रहा है तो उसके benefits क्या है, उसका background क्या है, and if you can read the balance sheet and in real time, see there you don't have time. there is a news which is breaking and you have to react. Now, if you are a reporter who's got a journalism background, but you studied accounts and finance, correct? You still need to ask, because especially in finance reporting, it's not generic political reporting. You need to know the subject. How will you report if you don't know? So now this media could be, these days, all kinds of media. So right from, I have a friend who, for example, then later on became the editor of Money Control Personal Finance. And we got a lot of friends within media now for working that space. And media is now very, very broad as a field. It's not just reporting, writing, etc. There are blogs and there are publishing houses, etc. So a lot of action happening there. Okay. So this is about understanding yourself, which is, I think, very important. And a good thing that we are doing now, and that's why I congratulate Moshmi, is if you have started this maybe 1 year, 2 year, 3 year before you qualify, then you can now understand yourself better. You can start ticking off subjects. For example, I was very sure in articleship that for sure I will not do taxation. Even that's a good thing. कि आपको क्या नहीं अच्छा है वो आप निकाल दिया. Whatever remains can be something that you can work on. So yeah, so in that sense, post this session, whenever you get time, in fact, we can also have mostly, something like a workshop or just a Q&A session and so on at some later stage, where people ask, of the jobs that they have heard, they actually identify and they come up, ki isme kya opportunity, usme kya opportunity, so apart from where we are. Okay. So now let's get to the opportunities themselves, and then we'll talk of areas. So although I have said in opportunities, old, new, I have said some places, or existing new may not exactly be new. New doesn't mean कि आज चालू हुआ है या कल चालू होने वाला है. I'll just try to, new का मतलब ये हो सकता है कि traditionally these are not looked at as maybe CA opportunities, one, and two, you may not, people may not emphasize on them. कि आपको मालूम है X field. I'll give you an example immediately in the next slide and then start the slide. So for example, risk assessment नया नहीं है, 20-30 साल से करते आ रहे हैं as risk assessment. But now, with the online frauds, a lot of transactions happening online, this risk assessment earlier was a backroom function. कि risk assessment करके क्या हुआ, क्या offline ही बहुत सारा चल रहा है, आपके ऑफिस में टैली लगा हुआ है, which is not on the cloud. What can go wrong? Now everything can go wrong, because if you're on a cloud, a multi-unit setup, we are now seeing banks getting hacked, ATMs getting hacked. I mean, every day you hear किसके अकाउंट से पैसा चुराया, पासवर्ड चुराया, SMS. It is now so many. So I'll just give you risk assessment का एक छोटा सा 1% वाला पहलू. Risk assessment is a massive thing. So assessing COVID or assessing disruption of COVID was risk assessment. Now some companies may have thought of it, and their RA department may have thought कि क्या क्या हो सकता है. But now people will take it even more seriously. Now that our generation has seen कि risk से complete disruption हो सकता है. So earlier, for example, we know that, or some of you, most of you may not be aware that, especially when MNCs set up, multinational companies set up operations, they don't just assess climate. कि यहाँ पे suppose IT companies, so Microsoft wants to set up a unit somewhere in India. So the kind of assessments that they do in this RA part, risk assessment part, is not just whether engineering college है कि नहीं, students है कि नहीं, रास्ते ठीक है, पानी वो नहीं है. That is the simplest part. They will check, for example, things like flooding in the area. Last 100 years, flood कहाँ हुआ? So that will identify a place. They will identify national and regional level risk. दंगे होते हैं क्या, for example? So in some parts of India, there will be bunds and दंगे. So इसे नहीं वहाँ नहीं जाना. Okay. So those level of disruptions. They will assess political stability. National level, they will do a 10-year mapping. Which government can come, the likelihood of disruption, and so on and so forth. They will assess fault lines, earthquake zones. वहाँ तक जाते हैं. Okay. So point is, risk assessment is such a vast field where you have to project this forward. वहाँ से लेके to systemic risk, to actual financial risk, etc. So our strength is we are used to analysis. We are used to assessments in general. Assessment word is directly associated with a CA profession. It is not associated with a cost accountant, a company secretary, or MBA. Only thing is we are assessing presently accounting risk, which is called as an audit, right? कि ultimately it's a sample checking. तो उस sample से अगर आपको पता चल सकता है कि इसमें fraud है कि नहीं वगैरह, and then you do the next bit. So it means that we are geared, we are taught, trained कि to be be careful, to be suspicious, to look whether you visit a factory and you see a go down and you see a stock कि go down छोटा दिख रहा है लेकिन बुक्स में स्टॉक 20 करोड़ का लिया, तो आप पूछोगे तो कि स्टॉक बहुत वैल्यू से ज्यादा है, so is it a high value stock, are the numbers matching, even so it's like a doctor, right, who's trained कि वो नस या एक दो पैरामीटर्स से without any checks he can check, he can at least do basic assessment of the body, you can do basic assessment of anything, of system, of a company. So that is going to be the point I'm trying to make, is it's going to become a very risky world going forward. Risks are not going to go down, they are going to go up. IT risk, financial risk, pandemic risk, etc. So, and there are courses for this. All of this can be Googled. I'll share this presentation, and then you can Google each of these terms, learn the term, and either in India or outside India, you will find full-time courses, 1-year courses, 6 months courses for this. Okay, and the good part, okay, we'll come to the good part later. Okay, then you've got, मेरे left hand कुछ हुआ ही नहीं audit. So I want to give an example that we will be talking today of things which are technically, as a term you might know, but आप लोग शायद focus नहीं कर पा रहे होगे. So it's our role to tell you that this might become very big areas, very few people. So if you got a CA degree and maybe a 1-year assessment degree, it could be a high-paying job. I mean, ऐसे jobs you will not find like advertised all over the place because roles शायद कम होंगे, but जो होंगे वो high-paying होंगे. So I'm not even going to trade statutory internal management bank. इसमें left side I'm just keeping it as it is. So risk assessment. Similarly, is operational audits. Operations of even Indian companies will get complex. So this would mean setting up of depots. कहाँ पे रखना है? Efficiency of operations. Because why efficiency of operations? Because as things get competitive, people will want to make money from the next part, cost savings, as I've said, कि आपका which is something which Amazon does while setting up all these new age e-commerce companies. आपका distribution center कहाँ है, ये important है, क्योंकि पहले imagine an old company which is selling shirts, महीने में या 15 दिन में एक बार माल आएगा, वो कहीं पे distribution center पे होगा और वो एक week में distribute होगा. Now is that a distribution? No, you order something today and Amazon might deliver you today evening. How does that happen? Or in 24 hours, how does that happen? So somebody's predicting, where the demand is coming from. They are setting up, centers accordingly and so on and so forth. So this is operational audit, right? Legal secretarial ka bhi, the critical thing is, and you'll be surprised as to why I am saying this is from a chartered accountant perspective, who knows all of this. If you could get an add-on degree, a CA plus CS, this could be an interesting area, especially for new age companies who would need multitaskers. So especially when we get to new age of startups, they will need somebody who knows everything. They can't hire a CA, CS separately. In environmental audit, I'll not know detail some of these terms. Just see it there because we won't have time to get into detail. If you have, so just impact. A lot of companies want to do impact assessment. कि chemical plant डाला, तो environment के ऊपर क्या cost है, financial क्या cost है, recoup कैसे कर सकते हैं, trees और क्या plant कर सकते हैं, वगैरह वगैरह वगैरह. So this is it. ISO quality systems. Again, you can get to quality audit, which is going to give thing, and of course diligence. Okay, we've got 15 minutes to go. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is, because the presentation is going to be with you, I will not go line by line, I'll go heading by heading, because uske line items ko now you got a context of kya hum dekh rahe. As I said earlier, this is going to be a huge area, underpenetrated. I think Institute also has a course. If not, there are courses anyways. So setting, because it's tech enabled, setting up the practices, control systems, actual forensic, because as lending, you have fintech companies which are now lending at 2 minute, 5 minute में आपको loan मिल रहा है, for example. क्यों मिल रहा है? क्योंकि वो tech से सारा कर रहे हैं, assessment etc. कि आपका Facebook account में क्या है, what is your CIBIL, what is your prior history etc. Have you bought a bike and are paying regularly, for example. So then you get points. Then if you can buy a 40,000 bike, perhaps you can buy a 10,000 का phone. That's how 2 minute में आपको loan मिलता है, etc. So all of these systems, processes, verifications, analysis, इसके लिए ये तो sector हो गया fraud and forensic audit. इसमें to set up systems we'll need people, to audit systems we'll need people. For the technology they will need our domain expertise. कि tech कोई बना सकता है, लेकिन processes कहाँ से आएंगे, knowledge कहाँ से आएगा, तो हमसे आएगा. Taxation, again, return filing, assessments, litigation is one area, but Again, international taxation is not new, but a lot of people are now people where any is migrate abroad, but ulta ho raha hai. Because India is emerging, a lot of people who have migrated abroad want to do something in India, but they will ask you, India mein liability nahi chahiye. So what is the method? Is there something you can do? So there's one more thing where I find shortage. Some of my friends are practicing in that space. कि आपको अगर if not CPA कर सके तो बहुत ही अच्छा है, but if you know US law or European tax law and Indian law, there's a huge demand. Even right now we get inquiries कि मुझे वहां पे income tax return भरना है, लेकिन वहां और यहाँ का reconcile कैसे करें? So either CAs know there, so they need to pay 2 CAs. Plus there's a risk. They may not talk to each other and so on. So if you, for example, know both laws, I think there's a huge, and you can keep on learning. For example, 4 or 5 key countries की आपको laws, tax laws मालूम है. Singapore, US, UK, where there are a lot of Indians and they do business with India. Now, there is nobody right now also who can advise them on both the laws, apart from Big Fours. Now, Big Fours, everybody cannot afford. There might be a guy who wants a few crores of rupees. There might be a startup, right? There might be a trader. So Dubai, for example, is tax-free. Your client can come and ask me, sir, Dubai tax-free mein karna, is it really tax-free? So some 5-6 countries ka ye taxation, double taxation seekhna could be very interesting. You will also get referral from your other friends if you are practicing and so on. Transfer pricing, I'll not get into its link to first because as cross-border transactions happen, you will need transfer pricing settled. Third area is something which I am personally passionate about, wish I would have done it, which is, abhi kya ho raha hai ki company secretaries know company law, we know income tax act well and so on. But सबको merge करके अभी एक advice, again, all of this is available with large firms, big fours with some CAs. But a client comes to us saying मुझे demerger करना है, उसका process है, या so demerger करे, slum sale करे, क्या करे? Now there are implications, or merger करना है या acquire करे, what should be done? So there are company secretary implications, maybe FEMA implications, maybe stamp duty implications, and taxation. Now, right now, in a mid-sized space, there's nobody who can study and advise a client on everything, and which is a big area again. So as I said, M&A, startups, NRI taxation, good quality, small advisory firms aren't there. I mean, they are emerging, but there's a lot of scope there. Litigation, the only thing I want to highlight is those of you interested in the intellectual part, where you love to research. I've said people who want to have a research orientation, or for that matter, an observer, and feel that you are actually outthinking the government, you're outthinking the client, right, by going so deep in these aspects. So IT approval to ho gaya, but indirect tax hai, NCLT hai, competition commission is there, FEMA, arbitration, and all these allied. So now all of these acts, electricity act has electricity tribunal. So the way the government is going to do to decongest the courts, or RERA, there's a RERA tribunal. Okay, I haven't mentioned RERA here, but RERA, a lot of CAs are practicing. So what they are going to do is, for every law, they will, instead of it going through civil court and through high court, they will set up a specialist tribunal. The advantage of that is you have specialist members out there. And so 80% of the cases should get done there itself. And then from there, it goes to high court, not civil court. So then it's only a question of law and not question of fact. So there's a huge scope for all kinds of litigation services. Maybe you can do a CA plus a law degree, and again, not many professionals here. IT, yes. So right from ERP systems to product development to testing, deployment, everything as a domain knowledge expert. So my better half, for example, Prayakta, she had a domain expertise in ICICI Bank. She came to HSBC Software in Kalyani Nagar, and she was a domain expert. And then she got opportunity to travel. So she used to live out of suitcase and travel from Argentina to Japan, 15 days travel, because they did not have local, and they wanted local experts, somebody who knew tech and somebody who knew banking. And there's such a shortage of people who can, one theme that I will constantly speak about is if you can have dual or triple kind of expertise, I think it becomes an unbeatable combination. If you want to practice or job, I think special, not just a single special. Earlier, you used to be a specialist in something, but if you are now specialist in 2 things or 3 things, that increases your value significantly. Okay. So earlier, BPO used to be data entry and so on and so forth, but a lot of tasks are now being done by BPO, right? From legal advisory to record keeping and so on. And you get into the, as a CA, you don't get into the data entry role. So there are companies which are doing, for example, here, I forgot the name, in Jodi, there's a firm, 300, 400 chartered accountants who are doing stock market research for international clients, for international investment banks, based out of right here in Pune. And it's a high-end research for Wall Street companies. So that's the kind of things which are happening right here. I mentioned, yeah. Then of course there's management consulting, which is tricky to get into. Ideally, you need to get into an MBA, but a lot of my friends are doing management consulting, which is you work with SMEs, you work with large companies, either on your own or as a part of larger to actually help them set up systems, financial management, cost control, performance improvement, cash flow planning. These are fantastic roles. We do a lot of these activities as a firm. And it is when you see a company coming out of losses, when you see a company doing well, I think it's a great sense of satisfaction where you're actually guiding the promoter. Okay, last bit, we've got about 7-8 minutes to go. We'll finish our emerging areas and take up questions. So these are only few of the areas, right? The idea is you should get inspired from this and read more. So in technology, within that, you need, there's scope for domain expertise. Artificial intelligence is going to replace all of us. Although I'm talking opportunities, I want to give you this warning. There are firms or there are companies which will start doing automated accounting. Okay. And you might be surprised, kaise automate accounting, but that's the way we are going. And it's not like fully automated, but a combination of a person. Imagine bills are getting scanned. Imagine now with GST, you will have standardized bills. They get scanned, they get codes, they directly get into accounting system. Your accounting entries start happening, etc. The way it happens in ERP. So a lot of these things will start getting accounting. So आपके jobs are redundant हो रहे, you can help make these systems, smarter and so on. So analytics में, AI में, product development में, there will be a lot of opportunities in technology where they will need us. I've said earlier, media is going to be a huge industry for a very simple reason that now media, we started reading newspapers, etc. Our generation, then shifted to mobile, etc. Now when everybody has a mobile on 13-14 hours a day, do the simple math, you are going to need a lot of content. And content cannot be created by robots. Content has to be created by people. You need somebody to go there, report, write. कौन करेगा ये सब? So अगर वो quality का चाहिए, तो earlier paper used to go once a day. So Pune may need one reporter. But if you have to get something on your website, Times of India, if they need 40 news a day or 30, वो कहाँ से आएंगे, right? So plus you need a specialist. So that's the way it will be. I think insurance is a very under-penetrated area. There's an insurance course of the institute and so on. But India का statistics से कि 4-5% लोगों के पास insurance है वगैरह. But not selling insurance is one part, but product designing, risk assessment, audit framework, compliance, and loss assessment, insurance broking, huge opportunity. And reason this becomes special is not many of us, we have insurance karke topic, basics of insurance accounting, etc. here. But if you also study any subject which needs specialized knowledge, then you become that subject or domain specialist. It becomes very difficult to replace you. Your value keeps on increasing because not many people are coming in. So in our generation, people who went into 2000 stock market would have been at a few thousands. Now, some of my friends who got into stock market analysis are now earning in crores as the market picked up and they were specialists and so on. So insurance is one such area. Again, as people get richer, as India gets prosperous, abhi ek normal CA would be advising कि यार mutual fund ले लो, so on. But now they would want specialists to plan. So there's an investment planning institute also. You can do investment planning ka alag se course. So planning their life, because people were not earning that much earlier. Now they're earning. They are curious. They are getting updates. So they are getting hounded by WhatsApp messages. Then they listen to, here at a job, मैंने Zerodha पे account खोला, मैंने crypto लिया, should I take crypto? So you should know all of these things. So either you can be on that side, or you can start your own company, which is actually into stock break, or you can actually be on the broking side, on the insurance side. So the only restriction is if you are not into practice, you can do any of these things. Then we've got venture capital, area that we again practicing, which is you have these startup companies, you make their presentations, you make their plans, and you pitch it to venture capital funds and get them funding. So again, a tremendously enriching area, something that you should look into either as individual or as joining a larger firm, because there again, multitasking helps. You should know a bit of law. You can't tell a company which has got 20 lakh rupee turnover के लिए इसके लिए आप 25,000 का CS का opinion लेंगे. You have to open the book, study it yourself, what does it say about one-person company? What does it say about shareholder agreement, and so on and so forth, articles of association, and etc. So this is another area you are seeing in 1 year, 2 year, a lot of these companies getting $1 billion valuation, which is unicorn. So as an activity, this can take you far. Corporate restructuring is happening because as businesses grow, they merge, sell off. Earlier nahi hota tha. You started a business, you hand it over to your next generation, or maybe sell it once. Now all kinds of things are happening. You'll start a business, sell off a division, acquire a company, two people coming together. Now all of this is going to happen in large numbers, even with smaller companies. See, I'm not talking of the Tatas and Birlas. I'm talking of companies right here in Pune, जिसका होगा. तो इसके लिए स्ट्रक्चरिंग लगेगा, ड्यू डिलिजेंस लगेगा, वैल्यूएशन का कोर्स की है, तो दैट विल बी नीडेड. Tax planning, managing the whole show. This is another so just coordinating with multiple advisors is something some of my friends are doing. So maybe a big four auditor, somebody doing due diligence. Now a tax advisor doing that, but promoter gets confused. Now promoter says, "Aap sara manage karo iska show." So that project management itself becomes a service in structuring for large deals. You are seeing a lot of companies getting into this national company law tribunal. Whenever that topic comes across, please look at it. We've got 70 lakh crore of NPAs. So even by the time you start practicing, there is going to be all of this, asset identification, uska due diligence, making revival plans, uska revival ke baad ka performance monitoring. All of that is going to be key. This is all time bound. There are firms working in it. So only thing is they need people with knowledge. And you've got 1 chapter on it, 2 chapters on it, study it well, keep reading about it, keep reading case studies, as I said, that, and then you can go to a new place. Yeah, I think we're almost there. Yeah, in venture capital, I partly covered this, investment banking. Some of these, be it venture capital or investment banking, they overlap. They are like specialist areas. Banking, traditional area, but again, set to grow manifold, because as banking goes to rural parts, as fintech companies reach out, कि mobile का account खोल सकते हो, आप category 2, 3, 4 towns में आप digital banking, online services दे रहे हो, तो all of this will change the way banking works, and hence banking will be a huge area. Similarly, financial services, fintech companies, mutual funds, stock broking, NBFCs, insurance and insurance broking, these companies will emerge as large players. Okay, some last 2-3 areas where they are underpenetrated is you will now have professional NGOs, because if you see CSR बढ़ रहा है, if CSR is compulsory, so if you have to donate to corporate social responsibility, these people will want companies which are professional. So they will need spends का हुआ है, effective का हुआ है, financial. So there will not be less salaries. There will be people who will pay good salaries. कि मेरा अगर करोड़ों donate हो रहा है, so you check, and they may have people in-house to audit these, and they will hire agencies to do that as well. Same is environmental consulting. I'll not go into detail. It's a very, very emerging area. Carbon credit, sustainability reporting. So it's reporting here, but आपका chemical plant है, तो उसका impact कितना हुआ, कितना damage हुआ. All of this is still reporting. Accounting for subsidies and grants, applying for subsidies and grants to large foundations. That is a project report itself. Where you get crores of grants. और उसका project accounting and control. Foreign trade, India is looking at a lot of exports. So iska sara, both a friend of mine works in this, multiple friends of mine work in this space, which is export import ka, not accounting, but they understand export import laws. They understand the customs laws from those rules perspective, from the manuals perspective, correct? So again, this is a valuable service, because companies का पैसा 4 दिन अगर पोर्ट पे आपका शिपमेंट रहा क्योंकि आपका क्लासिफिकेशन रॉन्ग था, डॉक्यूमेंटेशन गलत था, इट्स अ ह्यूज लॉस. सो दे वांट टू वर्क विद प्रोफेशनल्स. इंश्योरेंस किस प्रकार कर ले, डील किस प्रकार कर रही है, हाई सी ट्रेड, ऑन लैंड ट्रेड, देयर इज लॉट ऑफ स्टफ which can work in trade, and India is now opening up to both inward outward trade. So this is a very, very specialist area once again. And of course, government, as it professionalizes, you can think of the IRS function as well, which is if you see, a lot of projects are there which happen in public-private partnership mode. Roads are getting built, airports are getting built. Now many of these are in association with private parties. Now you can have opportunities there. People want that job satisfaction, want to do something for the country, I think great field to work in as government also professionalizes. Yeah, last is training, which is, as I said, people who like more of an observer status. कि मुझे आप directly नहीं करना है, directly consulting नहीं करना है. But I like to talk, I like to study. So again, knowledge is going to be key. Now you have all of these academies online as well. दोनों opportunities आपको है. You can join them. You can start your training thing and be a part of a larger academy. So now branding, marketing is easy for you. I'm not just saying CA coaching. This could be any kind of coaching, training, corporate training, which you can do, because this is going to be a knowledge economy and people will continuously need to get themselves updated. So that's another area which can be of great interest, which was under, well, ऐसा था कि you know, coaching करके या teacher बन के क्या, you know, what will the kind of monetary compensation? So I think in knowledge economy, this will be very, very crucial for people who like to study and research. So with this, we come to the end of the talk. We are, I think just in time. This is a thought I would like to leave you with. And if somebody says, कि आपका क्या, I started with your strength, being chartered accountant itself is a strength. I think this is where we are. I think with this, Moshmiji, Rinki, if there's some questions, we can take them. I think it's 9 o'clock and I stop here. Thank you so much once again for inviting me.
Rinki, are there any questions?
No, ma'am. Ma'am,
Great.
can we just wait for a minute? Actually, if anyone has a query, they can ask.
Okay, fine.
And post this session, I will anyway share this presentation. You are free to share it.
Yeah. So actually, some students were asking for your PPT.
Yeah, I will share this post the session. I will mail it to the Pune branch and then they can coordinate.
Okay.
Yeah, I will send a PDF. And what I'm going to do is, because PDFs can get lost in email, etc., I will also upload this on SlideShare and also share the SlideShare ka link, so that those of you who haven't checked out SlideShare yet, it's a company which LinkedIn bought a few years back, and it is basically a like an Instagram of presentations of all subjects. So the name itself is SlideShare. So everybody who wants to create a presentation can create an account. If you got a LinkedIn account, you just can log in directly. And then you can see n number of subjects, n number of classes. Okay. So can you please elaborate on other courses post-qualification? Great. So 2 or 3 categories of courses, let me say, because time will be short for all of them. One, of course, is what you call as postgraduate courses. So technically we are a postgraduate degree, but I'm saying after BCom or whatever you do. So you got MBA, you can do, some of these like an MBA, etc. You can do degrees like parallel degrees, like a company secretary, law, and if you can do some of these things parallelly. Then, of course, you can look at international degree like a CFA, etc. Somebody's asked, how do you move into a treasury function? You will need a financial management course. There's an Indian CFA, there's an international CFA. So you will need for treasury. The international CFA is something you can start right now, extremely difficult. But advantage of international CFA is pan world, 193 countries accept international CFA as a degree. And that is a hardcore course for finance. Okay. So all of this, it covers risk management, finance, and so on. So just check up CFA Institute and do the CFA course. Can open up multiple doors. And a good part is, if you're going to US or wherever, that CFA degree is still recognized. I mean, because it's not like a government degree, it's still like a private institute, but it is recognized everywhere. Then, yeah, somebody's asking if recording is available. So that's another thing. Maybe this will be on YouTube, right?
Yes, sir. It
Okay.
will be uploaded on YouTube.
YouTube. So maybe YouTube and that SlideShare ka link can be shared. So SlideShare, the advantage is you can also put comments. I keep on checking it once in a while, and then I can also reply to comments there. That's the beauty. Versus the PDF just circulating. So now PDF, email, वगैरह वो पुराना हो गया.
Okay,
Somebody is
sir.
asking channel of YouTube.
Pune ICA.
Okay, the other thing is now, even right now, you can do for this Udemy and all of these new online there are free and paid courses. Paid courses could be like 5,000, 1,000, 2,000 ऐसे भी है. So cost is not much, but choose your ये. It's worthwhile if you keep doing some of these smaller courses, maybe halfway through your CA. Early में थोड़ा you may not know that much, but yeah, maybe post inter is a good idea. And these are all credit courses. So you keep on doing it and those will be helpful. So somebody asked for career in stock market. So one thing I would like to tell you is for any of these sectors, be it banking, stocks, and so on, keep in mind, don't look at it just as stock market and a stock market trader, banking and a trade manager. As I've said in my presentations, I have given line items of banking can mean so many things, from risk assessment to audit to even being a branch manager. So similarly, stock market, of course, the standard is a stock market analyst, which is a great enriching role. Okay. Now, there again, you will need two things. One is if you do a course like a CFA, Indian or foreign, that helps because you can, we don't, as a CA, we don't work on analysis much, if you see. We work on audit, which is post facto. But projections, analysis, sensitivity, etc., में हम ज़्यादा काम नहीं करते, which is something which needs to be done. So that can be looked at. Then, of course, वहाँ पे भी same है, risk assessment, research reports का creation. So a stock analyst is different, but there are somebody who create economic reports and so on. Trading again is different, but you will need such a course. One, second, practically open, for example, a dummy money control account or a dummy account. Start trading. Now you have many sites which allow you to do this dummy trading, which will help you do fundamental analysis technique. If you know these terms, then you can by interview say, look, this is my portfolio. If it is allowed from home, for example, you can have a small 5-10 हजार का portfolio. थोड़ा losses हो गए, profit होगा, but you will study there. But definitely you will be valued because we understand balance sheet like nobody else. Now, where we lack is economics is something we fall behind. The macroeconomics, economic environment, ये थोड़ा and the future projections, etc. We can analyze the balance sheet of 31st March 22. If we are saying 23, 24, 25 में क्या impact होगा? So it doesn't come to us so easily. Now वो आपको थोड़ा सीखना है.
So someone wanted to have a bit deeper knowledge about forensic audit.
Okay. Sorry. So forensic, just for the clarification of everyone, is basically investigation audit. Okay. It is exactly like in crime, murder hota hai, to it is, one is of course a visual, but they then check fingerprints, blood samples, footprints, a lot of these things are checked, which is actually the forensics science, going beyond what is visually seen. Similarly, in forensic audit, it is again, why this is important? We learn on the first day of audit that a chartered accountant is a watchdog, not a bloodhound. Correct? We are not supposed to be investigating. We are supposed to be sample checking. Now, ऐसा हो सकता है, and sample check में अगर कुछ problem आया, तो you will check further. Now, the people who commit crimes also know that this is a sample check, right? So they can, for example, किसी कंपनी में ऐसा है कि 20,000 के ऊपर का खर्चा है और वो सीनियर मैनेजर ने अप्रूव करना है, तो अगर एग्जीक्यूटिव को मालूम है तो फ्रॉड कैन हैपन इन बिलो 20,000, पर 15-17 हजार के बहुत सारे बिल डाल सकता है. नाउ फॉरेंसिक में व्हेन यू गो, नॉर्मल ऑडिटर विल डू सैंपल चेक्स एक्सेट्रा. फॉरेंसिक विल चेक के व्हाट आर द बिल्स, हाउ मेनी बिल्स टोटली आर देयर. ओके, उसमें से 15-17 हजार के कितने हैं, 15-17 हजार के बिल्स बढ़ रहे हैं क्या, फॉर एग्जाम्पल. ये सारा अकाउंटिंग करके ही विल ड्रॉ ट्रेंड एंड देन सी लुक these transaction of 19,080 seem abnormally high. Okay, transactions with a party seem abnormally high, और एक आदमी के 18,000 के transactions बहुत है, okay, बाकी के नहीं है, so क्या वो fraud कर रहा है, वगैरह वगैरह. So an investigation like that. So a lot of companies earlier forensic and even today, for example, forensic are called after there is a fraud and so on and so forth. Now now forensic auditors may also be called to set up systems where there's a likelihood of fraud. Key stocks go downs, or as I said, fraud can be there everywhere. So setting up systems could be a big thing, and regular checks could be another thing. So that is forensic audit. So earlier, number of frauds were lesser. They were more physical. Now, as economy grows, they'll be more intelligent. They'll be more technology oriented. वो चोर भी सीख जाएंगे ना. They will also be more evolved.
So there's one more question.
Yeah.
As you see the article, artificial
I read
intelligence.
it. Yeah. So for that, unfortunately, so again, there are two parts. One is you can just go as a domain knowledge expert in a tech company. Okay. So the tech company is building a product which is a highly intelligent accounting, ERP, inventory management, etc. software, and you are giving your accounting knowledge. That's it. That is one area. तो वहाँ पे आपको कोर्स की जरूरत नहीं है, but वो knowledge आपको अगर product development में आपको जाना है, which is a very highly paying job. If you also do a information technology का course, now unfortunately you obviously cannot become BE computer. That's where I'm saying there are, if you just Google, all of these available on Google. You go to one of these online education companies, and there, be it Udemy or I forgot the names of others. I just saw ads, so I saw one. But बहुत सारे हैं ना, आप लोगों को मालूम होंगे. तो there you can just check, AI का course. Also, if you want to go slightly premium, there are many of these management colleges, IIM, etc. IIM के होते हैं या बड़े management colleges के, they have these 6-week course. So you need orientation, you need the terms. आपको coding नहीं करना है, but AI कैसे होता है, क्या limitations है, ये अगर मालूम है तो you can be a good bridge. How can we, so switch profiles, Rahul, कुठे switch profiles, from what to what? So okay, let me talk generically about switching profiles. कि you are at a back end, आप अभी research में हो, आपको trading में जाना है, for example, या आप तो वहां पे you want to get into investment banking, you want to actually get into venture capital, and you are there right now in research. So obviously एक problem क्या आता है, you go to interview and people say अरे आपको experience नहीं है, तो आने वाला ही है problem. तो इसके लिए what you need to do is there are 2-3 mantras that I will give you. One, identify the type of companies you want to get into. Suppose you want to get into ICICI Ventures, you want to, correct, start networking. एक तो आपका LinkedIn profile बहुत अच्छा कीजिए. I'm giving you very practical tips to keep on reading about that subject. Somebody will take you, तो आपके पास एक level का knowledge है, for example, लेकिन आपने और पढ़ा है. If you know the deals that are happening, if you know what is happening in the sector, and I am hiring you, I will say, चलो, even I want people who are themselves well trained and who are aware. बाकी का training मैं दे देता हूँ. So if you feel कि नहीं, मैं जाके सब समझूंगा, so that's not a great thing to do. So that's something that at least the basics of you should say that मुझे मालूम है, I am updated of this topic. वो तो free में होता है ना, उसके लिए पैसा नहीं लगता. So you can learn about it. Start connecting to people on LinkedIn. So start building your network where he sees you. Start updating your LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a great way of creating your personal profile. Start writing a bit of articles, थोड़ा analysis, थोड़ा news, ये करते रहिए. So that's the way at a practical you will get to do. Apart from education, this is how practically you switch roles or get better jobs. These are my, in case you need contacts. Yeah, my contacts.
So there's a question. जैसे कि I am a person जिसका articleship background नहीं है acquisition and merger का, और we can say investment banking का. So can I get into investment banking? मतलब मेरा तो industrial period is over.
So
तो
difficult. Yeah, the simple answer. Sorry, you are saying that आपका suppose आपने traditional articleship की है, correct? And now you want to get into industrial. Now you want to get into investment banking, correct?
Investment banking or acquisition and mergers maybe.
Whatever. Let's say new age area. So that's why let's do a generic answer, because so that सारे professions cover हो जाएंगे. आपने traditional practice की है और आपको new age area में जाना है, correct? Be it investment banking, be it venture capital, mergers, कुछ भी हो. That's the question, ना?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that's the reason that a few minutes back I was trying to say कि आपको दो चीजें लगेगी. एक is most firms will say कि get a degree. like a part-time MBA or an MBA or whatever, that you might need in most cases. That's my answer number one. But parallelly, if you want to get in and try with your CA, are the 2-3 things that I said. Is your knowledge updated? So if you want to get into stock broking, whatever was free or with some paisa available, have you gained that knowledge? Can you read analyst reports? Do you know how to do stock market analysis to the extent that you can? The stock market terms, terminology, ये तो आपको पता चलता है ना, it's not difficult. Then you go for start applying for interview and say मैंने ये किया है. Then at least in a smaller firm, then you get a job. वहाँ पे 6 महीना 1 साल experience लो. Then you go to the next level. So that is what I did. So I used to read all of this. I was interested in M&A. So in 2000, there was a firm here which was doing M&A. So at that time it was phone calls, landline calls, not mobiles. So I started calling firms. So one of them said, yeah, but by the time I had given the CA final, I could on the phone call tell them, you know, ye deal hua, ye and so on and so forth. Itna bhi sir, it is interesting. Come for the interview. So I got a job, 4,000 rupees a month. Simple. They said you come and join. So they had a newsletter. They said you start editing it. आपको practical तो मालूम नहीं है. Then we learn to do taxation, deals, and so on and so forth. So everything is now it's much simpler in a sense. You have many more tools. One message I would like to leave you with is that we make it like a black and white thing. Black and white means articleship, फिर अगर कुछ course है तो course और job. ये black and white मत रखिए. There are a lot of shades of gray in between. कि during articleship, learning more, reading more, subscribing to newsletters, slide share, LinkedIn, professional networking opportunities, connecting. आपके family में अगर 5 लोग finance में काम कर रहे हैं, for example, are you in touch with them? Friends है, friends के parents है. What are you doing with? So you have your own network. If you list out if your wish is there to connect to all of these people, you will go meet them. Now that person would know you, right? And they have interest in you because you are family, you are a friend. They would like to help you. So friend के friend का friend, family का friend, all of those combinations you need to network. ऐसे बैठे बैठे कुछ नहीं होगा. Then the only way is you do MBA, you do whatever IIM, MBA और वो करो तो वो तो option है. But all the message I want to give you is there is a lot which can be done even when you are doing this in casual chat. Instead of spending some time somewhere, use time in networking, spend time with people, with seniors, आपका boss. So for example, some of your bosses might know people like me, right? So you can always say, उसको तो फर्क नहीं पड़ता है ना, because after articleship, you're not an employee, you're going to go anyways. But he can help you connect with somebody like me. Maybe he was doing stock broking analysis, you go and meet him. Simple. So you're not helpless and powerless, is the point I'm saying. So you can just Google, एक second, give me.
Sir, are those courses beneficial which big firms, big companies, big fours provide? No, students are aware of some courses. Like there's KPMG who is providing 1-year course. I don't know exactly about the course.
एक simple answer, use or not use का मैं एक simple answer देता हूँ. Go to my first slide. आपको life में क्या करना है? Determines use or no use. आपको लाइफ में कभी भी ऑडिट करना ही नहीं है, आपको स्टॉक ब्रोकिंग करना है, तो फॉरेंसिक ऑडिट का कोर्स इज नो यूज. करेक्ट. सो प्रॉब्लम विद स्टूडेंट्स इज द अर्लियर यू कैन डिसाइड व्हाट इज माय ओरिएंटेशन. आई कैन अंडरस्टैंड कि आपका ओरिएंटेशन स्पेसिफिक शायद नहीं, बट क्या मुझे, इफ आई लाइक एनालिसिस, एनीथिंग टू डू विद एनालिसिस आई शुड डू एनीवेज. If I do not like analysis, I like say more of reporting, media or so on, I should do that. Or if I like more of accounting and finance, not much of analysis, any accounting finance connected thing I should do. Correct. So knowledge is useful in the context is what I'm trying to say.
Okay. Any more queries from students?
Rinki, I think we can close now. We have already exceeded our time. And
Okay, ma'am.
Great. All of these sessions of Moshmi and Pune branch, thank you once again. All of these are learning experiences to create this, to think about it. And as a speaker, you always become an enriched person. So thank you so much for this positive energy.
Now to conclude with this amazing session, I would like to request CA Ketan Samdani, Chairman of Anand Vikasa, to propose a formal vote of thanks.
Yeah, and sorry, and before that, Ketanji and all the branch chairmen, thank you so much for hosting me as well. It was virtual, so virtual में कभी-कभी पता नहीं चलता है, but yeah, I hope we meet on a platform someday. But yeah, thank you so much.
Definitely, sir. Thank you, Rinki. I take this opportunity to propose formal vote of thanks for today's directive session. Directive in a sense that this will pave way for efforts in right direction for our budding FCAs, that is Future Chartered Accountants. I on behalf of all participating branches, thank Team Pune for organizing this event and more importantly, taking all of us together. I hope we have more such sessions in future. And I am falling short of words to thank our today's learning faculty, CA Vinit sir. Sir, your meaningful insights has ignited spark in mind of our students and will definitely guide them to march ahead in their career. I thank all our future CAs for being part of this event. Over to MOC. Thank you all.
Thank you. Moshmi, we have taken a snap, right?
Yes, sir, we have. We'll share it.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir. Even I got to know a few opportunities. Even I was not aware about a few opportunities that you just talked about.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Thanks a
thanks
lot.
a lot.
Wonderful session.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot.